Good. Hold on one second. Let me see. There we go.
Hey,
All right,
my man.
I'm in the car.
How's it going?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited to speak with you. And yeah, where are you at?
I live in Jacksonville, Florida.
Oh, fucking A.
Yeah, it's weird. It was like 80 degrees yesterday, man. And then I wake up today, it's like 50. So, crazy.
Yeah, we're out here in California. It was like 90 yesterday.
Oh, wow. Yeah, man. That's the thing. Like California, man, I love the weather out there. It's so nice. Florida's good too, man. It has its moments, and the summers are a little hot, with humidity and all that stuff. But how are things out there weather-wise?
There's a big homeless population problem, but other than that,
yeah,
weather's dope.
About that.
Yeah, it's like every single on-ramp you go on, you see there's a city underneath it. So any exit in California,
that's crazy, man. And you think they're all like California like residents?
I don't know. There's a lot of conspiracies about it though. That people are saying that they've been dropped off from another state.
Yeah, that was going on here in Jacksonville. Right near my son goes to school downtown to an art school, and I would take him down there every morning, or my wife would, and we just saw like there was this massive, like, I don't know, it's a pretty big lot, and they just started growing and growing and growing daily to where there was like 500 like people there, man, homeless people, just, and then there were a bunch of tents out there, and then I think the guy that owned the lot caught wind of it, and he came and he put a big old fence around his lot, so they moved him to like a hotel for like 30 days, and then I don't know, but yeah, a lot of them, they were saying on the news here, they weren't even from Florida. They were from like Georgia and like South Carolina and stuff.
Yeah, that's where we're getting, like Texas, Arizona.
Yeah,
it's like
crazy, man.
Yeah, it is. It's a crazy time. But dude, we're here celebrating every 6 seconds, right?
Yeah.
There's a good transition right there.
Did you own that record? Did you have that record?
Bro, you want to hear some stories?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So I joined the military in 2000, right?
Okay.
I got out of boot camp and we go on deployment in, I don't know, maybe July 2001.
Okay.
By this time, I have this album, I believe. Yeah. Is that correct? Is that the time frame?
It came out March 27th, 01.
Okay. Yeah. So I remember going to so anyways, anytime we would get ready to go out, like we would put your album on. So when we were over, like 9/11 just happened. We have your album, and anytime we're in our like quarters or whatever, and when we're ready to go do a mission, we put on you guys' album. And so that really, in my head, I was like, oh, this is the last song I'm listening to for many of times. Like that's what I was really believing. And man, I loved it. It was something that not only, has a tie to my military history, but I remember this girl that I was like trying to get at for years. Like we end up making out to the song, so to the album in my car, just because it was on. So
there were a lot of songs. There were some makeout songs on that record, not just the heavy stuff. You know what I mean? That's what's so great about, I think, that record, and why people liked it so much was for the time, everything was very aggressive. You had Limp Bizkit, and you had like, the PODs, and everything was kind of heavy. And Saliva, had a melodic sense on this side. You know what I mean? To where a lot of the songs weren't just aggressive. There was a little bit for everybody. A lot of mood swings, and a lot of that you have to kind of give credit to the producer, Bob Marlette, because he took a lot of those songs and he really crafted them well and turned them into what they became. Because if you heard some of those demos before he worked on that record, they were like different songs, man, So a lot of times a good producer can really come in and you know, up like lift the songs into something else, you know.
Yeah.
And but yeah, dude, thank you for your service, man. I'm glad that, you know, you're here and everything's we support military, United States military always, man. And I will say I've heard lots of stories about, you know, people going to combat over in Afghanistan and stuff, and they would use that record as they're like to get pumped up. And you know, I want to say about 6 or 7 years ago, TMZ did a thing on something to do with the military was using aggressive music to torture people, and they called us because I think it was something to do with the Chili Peppers. Someone asked Chad Smith something about it, and he was like, "What are you talking about? I had no idea that was happening." So it made news for a minute, and I remember they called and they wanted to ask me a couple questions about how I felt, and then they asked me what song. They said, "So what song would if you were being tortured? What song would be the worst song you could ever hear?" And I said, "Click, click, boom." said they would play the song over and over and over again. Like, what song would literally make you like go absolutely insane? And I said, "Click, click, boom." It was just the perfect answer to that. They died. They laughed. It was funny, but you know, but definitely, like, I know a lot of people, you know, especially military, would use, you know, that song and other records, you know, a lot of like Metallica, Godsmack, stuff like that to get pumped up, man, when they'd go to combat. And it's like you need that. It's like some sort of to know, you know, a lot of the lyrics and a lot of those songs that, you know, are able to relate, and it's like you get in the zone. And even for me, like before going on stage and stuff, like I have to get in the zone and listen to some aggressive, like
what
some
do you
Pantera.
listen to? Oh, Pantera.
I listen to like Pantera or Alice in Chains, or just some stuff that I grew up on, or old Van Halen, and you know, just like party music. Yeah, I don't drink anymore. I'm close to 3 years sober, so but I like to listen to party music. So it's like, you know, like the old school rock and roll stuff, and just get pumped up, man, and you know, go on stage. But yeah. So
what do you remember about the writing process for Every 6 Seconds?
Well, I replaced Josie 10 years ago, so I wasn't around in the first thing. So what we did with this record was we re-recorded 5 songs from that first record.
Oh.
And we added a cover. So we covered Spoon Man by Soundgarden. And so that's part of this EP that's coming out. But, you know, the stories I've heard about that writing process, I could tell you just from Wayne, like the guitar player, and Paul, the drummer, which we have a documentary coming out April 30th, which will explain a lot of that stuff. But the writing process, I think, was fairly simple. They had a bunch of songs and ideas. Then they got into a room with Bob, who did pre-production with them, the producer, and he changed a lot of things. He got rid of all the stuff that really didn't make sense, or felt like this could be better. And I think he would challenge them a little bit into coming up with some better parts. But I think the writing process was fairly simple for those songs. Nothing too crazy. I don't think they were overthinking anything.
Yeah, that's what I was. When my number one goal in high school was to be a professional wrestler. Like,
right. Okay.
That was just like, you know, at that time you had Stone Cold and The Rock and WWF versus WCW. And so I move on to the military, and my plan was like, oh, I'll come back to it, right? Never came back to it. And then I'm seeing, you know, I've seen Saliva, like they do a song with Batista, and you guys continuously did music, you had relationships with WWE.
That was a big platform for the band. That was a huge platform for the band. Like being a part
stories of that you have heard, like how does that end up happening? How do you guys
Well,
meet
well,
up? And
I think that, at the time rock was really big. It was a very exciting time for rock. So, and it was a very exciting time for wrestling too. So they merged the two. I think Vince McMahon's son was into a lot of those rock bands. And so what they would do is approach the bands like with the songs already written. And then they would basically, want the band to perform the song. And in return, you are getting like exposure. You're getting that wrestle. You're tapping into a whole nother world of you know what I mean?
yeah,
Of fans and an audience. I mean, there are people that only know of Saliva because of wrestling. I mean, I hear that all the time. Someone will come to the show and be like, "Hey, man, will you guys play the I Walk Alone song? That's how I heard of you guys. I first heard of you guys from Batista." You know what I mean? That was it. I mean, so I think it's great because you have wrestling fans who become rock fans because of those songs. And the Saliva was a band that did a lot for WWE at one time. They had like Ladies and Gentlemen was WrestleMania theme song.
yeah,
and things like that. I mean, that's really, really good, man. And it's done nothing but good things for the band through the years. So
yeah, it's pretty dope. You guys also went into Metal Hall of Fame right before the lockdown. Is that right? Did I got that right?
What is it?
The Metal Hall of Fame right before the lockdown?
I don't know. I mean, maybe.
Okay, yeah, I read an article about that, and I was just seeing what you guys would think about it.
Anything positive, man. Or I mean, for us, we're easy, man, to get along with. We're easy guys. We like to play rock and roll. We like to tour, and just give people a fun time, give people a show. So anything that we're used to. Positive and negative, and that's with anything these days. You're gonna have that. I think that's just part of life. And
when you guys end up, or when you come to the band, what is the environment like creatively?
When I came to the band,
yes,
they let me kind of run with a lot of ideas and a lot of things, which was great. And I always tried to stay inside there's this like Saliva wall, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't want to stray too far outside of it, or people are like, what the fuck are you doing? So it's kind of like, yeah, but I think how I got in the band too was they had heard a lot of the stuff that I had been working on. And I think they had liked that. They could get somebody who could sing the parts, add their own spin and their own vibe to it, but also brought songwriting and brought production knowledge and stuff to the band, because then it just creates an easier work environment. You know what I mean? Like when they came 10 years ago to my house essentially in Florida, Dave, Paul, and Wayne, we wrote 3 songs in a weekend and then recorded them, laid them down, and it was like, wow, okay, this works. Let's continue doing this. And that's how that started, man. So and then making the records along the way, the first record there was some pressure, I think, but I thought we wrote some good songs. And we through the years, there'd be songs that I had from 15 years ago or something, and Wayne would listen to it and go, "Dude, we have to put this on the record." And I'm like, "I don't know that it fits." And he'd say, "Dude, I don't care. It has to go on the record. It's like it's too good." So there'd be a lot of that. So I get to have some freedom and creativity and stuff.
When you guys are writing, do you guys look at, or does the band look at every 6 seconds as like a gold standard? Meaning, like, are there special, like, I'm very, ritualistic.
Yeah.
So if I'm watching football, I got to sit in the same spot, stand in the same spot, or, even if I'm doing things, so I'm very ritual. Are there any rituals that the band follows? Because it to hit that album is one of the best albums. I mean, I'm probably biased for it of ever to me.
Yeah.
At least top 25 albums of all time. Is there like, and I'm sure that the band realizes like, no man, this is a great album. Does it become like, oh, we did this in this album, we have to do this again, or we have to have the same drink, or certain things of that nature?
The bar was set very high, but you have to remember too, like back then in that time, music was super exciting. Bands like Limp Bizkit were massive. Rap rock was massive. MTV was massive. So MTV and radio would basically, that is how your band is going to define your band of being big or not. I mean, you have to have the songs, and I mean, I think it all lined up for that record to be, become what it became. And you have to remember too, like, the record came out in March, and then Your Disease was like, went to #1 at Modern Rock Radio. Then here comes, Click Click Boom in late August, coming out at radio and starting to gain some steam. And then 9/11 happens, and then they pull it from the radio, they pull it from the MTV.
Oh, shit,
they
that's
pulled
right.
everything that had to do with boom or fire or plane or anything lyrically that had to do with that stuff. They pulled from the radio, so it ultimately like crushed everything that the band had going at that time. I mean, they were on point. They were looking at a triple platinum record, and then they only got to like 1, barely 2, I think, because of that one incident. 9/11 really set a lot of things back, not just in the world, but everything else. So but yeah, I mean, so but the record, in the midst of all that, was still set super high. And rock started to kind of, sales started to go downhill a little bit, because then, there was downloading and a lot of that stuff, Napster, all that stuff, which, was a big deal in 01 and like 02. So everything was declining record sales wise. So I think that's why, you had Always on the second record was a big song, but you went from platinum to gold until your sales just aren't as impactful as the first record. So I don't know that we ever go, here's the blueprint, let's follow this. But I mean, there's times that, like, on our Love Lies in Therapy record, Wayne came up to me and was like, hey, I have this song, it kind of reminds me of Click Click Boom a little bit, but and he had a song title, and it was called Go Big or Go Home. And then the riff had that Click Click Boom drive, almost that Saliva drive. But when you think about those old songs, I mean, he's the guy that's essentially coming up with those riffs. So he's probably going to write songs like that. That's just his style of playing. So, but I don't think it's like something that we go, all right, let's write a song like this, or let's make sure that we follow this record, in this exact order or something. We try to write good songs, and, if we write 30 songs and 10 of them are good, then we'll put them on a record. That's kind of how it is. And if you're lucky,
Well, it's amazing opportunity to speak with you guys, or speak with you, and to cover the band. Definitely something that's a bucket list for me to be able to write something about you guys. I guess my last question would be, oh, you also have do you have a show tonight or tomorrow with Tantric? Did I see that?
No, we do not have any shows for a minute. We're putting together a big like summer package and to fall and stuff, but we have some weekend stuff here and there. I actually have 2 acoustic unplugged shows myself in North Carolina and Virginia Beach tomorrow and Saturday.
Okay,
but
that maybe
Saliva, we don't have any shows for a minute.
Okay.
So
and I guess my last question, did this Did the quarantine bring out like the documentary and
Yes,
it
for
did?
sure.
How does
Well,
that go
it
about?
just well, you get we were bored and trying to think of things to do, and we made a record. We made a whole new record, and then we made a whole new covers record, which is great. I can't wait to release that. And then we did the last came the re-record. So it wasn't like we were like, man, we know we're gonna do this, you know. It was like, well, let's release a new record. Then we were like, I don't know if that really makes sense. Maybe let's do something different. Let's do something the band hasn't done yet. And then it was like, okay, let's release a covers record. And I was like, well, then the label was kind of like, let's not do that. Why don't we release like a cover at a time or something? Like, let's not just release a whole record full of covers yet. So it's like, we want to do something for the 20th anniversary. It's 20th anniversary. You only get one. You know, there was a big, important record in the band's career. You know, I got in 2011, so I've been here 10 years. Like, it's like even 10 years for me is a big deal. So let's do something different and for the fans and celebrate, you know, the Every 6 Seconds record. And that's where it was like, well, let's not do every song on the record, but let's do like 5 songs, and then we'll throw a cover on there. And that's how all that kind of came about. And the documentary was, well, we got these songs, we got this. Why don't we do like a short documentary, like 20 minutes, basically from where it started, how the band got the deal, to, you know, just kind of going through, you know, very quickly to me and the band, to where we are now, into making and it surrounds those songs and the creation process of those songs. And, you know, Bob Merlette, the producer that produced for the band's records, is, you know, he's on there as well, talking about how it came about, like the first record stuff's really, really cool stuff.
All right, my man. Dude, thank you so much. I appreciate you. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
I got enough of what I needed to write a good story. And then I'll check out that documentary and sprinkle it into this.
Yeah, dude. Absolutely, man. Yeah. Check it out. It's really, really cool. So it came out good.
My man. Well, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for everything, and good luck, man.
All right. Thanks, man. See ya.
Have a good one. Bye.
Bye-bye.